We finally got a day where it was over 50 degrees and it has been months since Junior's tail has been washed. So I'm going to show you how I wash tails when it's still not warm enough outside to do a full bath. All you're going to need is a bucket and your favorite shampoo, conditioner, and detangler. I personally like the Cowboy Magic. This stuff works really well and I'm a huge fan of their detangler. And of course we're going to start off with the shampoo. I just pour a bunch into the bottom of the bucket, enough to make the water nice and sudsy. I use lukewarm water and I get it mixed up really well. I'm super grateful that we have hot water here at the barn. It is a game changer. And then I'm going to take the whole tail and just plop it right into the bucket, stopping just short of the tailbone. I don't want to risk getting soap on the tailbone itself and not be able to properly rinse it out. This could lead to the tail being itchy and him rubbing it and possibly rubbing his tail out, which is the last thing that I want to happen. So with my free hand that's not holding the bucket, I really work the tail into the soapy suds. And then after I've done that for a while, I will just take the tail out of the soapy water and work the suds into the tail itself. Just really trying to break up that grit and grime that's built up over the last few months. And you're just going to repeat this step until your bucket water runs clean when you pour it out. Once the tail is totally clean, I'm going to rinse out all of the soapy suds from my bucket and refill it with just clean water to rinse out the tail. And once again, this is a step you're probably going to have to repeat multiple times until you get all of the soap suds out of the tail. Now at this point, the tail will be clean, but it will look and feel not so great. It's just going to be really ratty from being swirled around in the bucket, and it's going to feel dry and kind of like straw. But the next few steps will take care of that, and we'll end up with a nice, soft, manageable tail. So for the conditioning step, I actually do my conditioner a little different. I don't apply it directly to the tail. I mix it the same way that I do with my shampoo. Pour some right into the bottom of the bucket, and then we're going to add water to make a conditioning rinse. And I just find that it works the conditioner into the tail so much better and more evenly than when I apply it directly to the tail and try to work it in with my hands. So once again, we're putting our tail back in the bucket and we're just going to work that conditioner water into the tail. And as you can see, it's already pulling out more smooth and just soft looking than it was after we rinsed all the shampoo out. Now I'm going to go in with the concentrated detangler. A little goes a long way with this stuff. You really aren't going to need a lot, especially once the tail is clean and wet, but this stuff works amazing. I just put about a quarter size drop in my hand and just rub it into the tail, work it in, and instantly I am able to start running my fingers through the tail, separating the hairs, getting things smoothed out in preparation for brushing it. And this is right after I applied the detangler with my hands. The brush just pulled through so seamlessly and smoothly without pulling any hairs. I tell you what, guys, the Cowboy Magic, if you have a horse with a lot of tail or a long tail, that stuff is gold. And I do want his tail to be as dry as possible before I braid it and put it back into a bag. So while I was waiting for his tail to dry, I spent some extra time just really giving him a good grooming. It's spring, he's shedding, there's tons of mud everywhere, and he needed it, and it was good for both of us to just spend some time together without any expectations or training involved. And I did take some of that detangler and go in on his mane. Now his mane is dry and dirty, but the detangler will still work, just not quite as quickly. I really had to take extra time to work it in and separate the hairs with my fingers before going in with a brush and smoothing everything out really well. The important thing to remember when detangling is to start at the bottom of the hair and then work your way up. This is the quickest way to detangle the hair and reduces the risk of pulling hairs out. Now for me, I don't braid manes during the week. I have found that all of my horses have wanted to rub their manes out when I do this, so I just brush them every once in a while and leave them like that, and I only braid for race days. At this point, his tail is pretty dry, so I go in and braid it. When braiding a tail, it's important to start just below the tailbone, about 2 inches, and start with a loose braid and then tighten as you get further down. And then I always secure my braids with electrician's tape. It's more gentle on the hair than using bands, which can cause breakage at the ends. And then I shove the braid back into my Equiboss tail bag. I really like that these bags are water resistant. It'll help keep that tail clean even through the muddy, wet spring. And that was Junior's Sunday spa day. I think he really enjoyed being pampered, and I'm just excited that the days are finally getting longer and warmer, and we're going to be able to do a lot more of this.